Hello, welcome to another episode of American Update. It's Wednesday, July 28th. July 28th every year is a special day for me. My late father, was Peruvian, and July 28th happens to be the Independence Day of Peru. And this July 28th is not just another Independence Day for Peru, it is their bicentennial. They celebrate 200 years of freedom from under Spanish rule. So to all my fellow Peruvians out there, by blood or by nationality, I want to say happy bicentennial, happy Independence Day to you. And simultaneously today, Peru also inaugurates a new president. His name is Pedro Castillo. He belongs to the party called Peru Libre, or Free Peru. His election a couple of months ago was not without controversy. It was quite a deal. And it was just resolved and finally decided as of a few days ago, actually, officially. It was a little bit controversial, to say the least, as our election here in the United States was last November. Let's say the difference was that Peru did take a little more time and put more effort into really investigating their election. But it wasn't really much of an investigation in the end. It was not as studied, as looked at as it could have been. I think it was more of just a figurative, just a going through the motions kind of thing, more than not. And in the end, Castillo won. It was a big fight. Castillo is Peru Libre is a communist party, or it's alleged to be communist. It is left-leaning. His opponent in the election was one Keiko Fujimori. If you follow Latin American news at all, politics, that's not an unfamiliar name to you, neither her name nor her father. She was running for president of Peru for the third time, and has lost 3 times, unfortunately, now for her. 3-time loser. Her father, Alberto Fujimori, was president of Peru over 20 years ago, and he was quite a controversial figure himself. And he went into exile several years in Japan. When he came back, he was in jail, released, back in jail now for civil rights, human rights abuses, corruption. Keiko Fujimori and that party, her party, the Fuerza Popular, Popular Force, been accused of corruption. So you had a party on the one hand, the Fujimoris and their party, accused of corruption, seen as very corrupt. And politics general in most countries in Latin America is seen as corrupt. Against the Fuerza Popular party of Castillo, the left-leaning and seen as communist. And they'll argue that all day that no, they're not. They're not. But they're in. Let's see how it turns out. Cousin wrote me today, hoping that the new leader will rule with some form of moderation. They will not come in with a strong hand. But you had Fujimori and alleged corruption. And she was arrested. She did time in jail for corruption. And let's just call it the frying pan versus Castillo and communism, leftism anyways, progressivism, and the fire. So you had the frying pan or the fire, and Peru voted to go into the fire. So what happened? What happened that was not so clear, was not so obvious to the Peruvian people as most people, most journalists who covered the story, who looked at the news, at least from outside of Peru, looked at it and said, this is a communist party. This party would lead the nation in the wrong direction. The people looked more at the corruption of Fujimori than the possible communist leanings of Castillo and where he would lead the nation. But anyways, now he's in. We'll see what will happen with that. Castillo, I saw in an article, these words, he assumes the presidency pledging economic stability. He says he's going to rule in moderation. Well, we'll see. Communists, if he is communist, they come in not appearing as communists, of course. They hide that. There are very few parties ever around the world that say they will name themselves outright the Communist Party. There have been, but many don't. Many can argue about the Democrat Party in this country, its leanings, leftist leanings, dare I say, going now through the door of socialism, and some people would dare say communist. But that's another story, it's for another video, and so many have talked about that. So it's not beyond the realm of possibility. You can have a body of voters vote in somebody who may lead you in a leftward direction. Let me give you a couple quotes from past leaders in the past and say how communist this sounds, how leftist this sounds to you. One man said, "We will never use force, and the day the public no longer wants me, I will leave." Any guesses as to who that was? That was the late Fidel Castro of Cuba. Another man, another leader said, "I will respect democracy, and I will leave office before my term is up. I will not nationalize or expropriate businesses. Cuba is a dictatorship. We are not." That was Hugo Chavez, the late Hugo Chavez of Venezuela. And if you know your history a little bit about these two men, they did not leave early, did not leave willingly, etc. They stayed. They remained in power. And Chavez, he did nationalize, he did expropriate businesses. He proved himself, showed his colors. So when a leader, a politician comes into office, you have to look at them. We do have to look at them and say, look, if some creature, if some animal walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, looks like a duck, it's a duck. It's not always obvious when you elect leaders and it sounds like pie in the sky, it all sounds good. Oh, they're going to pay for this, free welfare or not welfare, free education, insurance, medical care. But somebody pays for that. Somebody pays for that. It's not a capitalist system. Capitalism may have its flaws. That's for another video too. But where are they going? I would argue, I say that Latin America, unfortunately, has had its leanings, its socialist/communist leanings. Peru is another country, for me, is another domino that has fallen. Together with Venezuela, with Cuba, with Nicaragua. I can only hope for the best. We'll see what will happen there. America, the United States itself, is showing different colors. We're changed. We have a Democrat in power now who, as for, I want to say first, before something Castillo said, to the lead to what I really want to talk about here also. He did say he did say today, he wants young people not in school or work to join the military. Foreign delinquents out. For me, I have nothing. I have no argument against this. But you can see, one could see how in the exercise of this, in the practice of this, he enforces it. There will be young people who will fight back. There will be pushback on this. And the optics of this will not be good. What will happen then? Those who will fight it in the streets, as they're rounded up to be put in the military or to be kicked out of the nation, it will look like a dictatorship. And that's the way the press will paint it. That's the way they will color it to look like a dictatorship. Because the media, they don't like that kind of volunteer, the idea of volunteerism. Go to school, study, become something. Work, go to work, or join the military. Or as Kennedy would have said 60 years ago, join the Peace Corps, do something. We live in a world, too many nations now who are too open to the government dole, to the government taking care of you, to the cradle to the grave security. So that's the two-edged sword. On the one hand, surprisingly, Castillo may be a communist, but as I said, this sounds all right to me. But in the practice, in the execution of this, enforcing it will look like a dictatorship in action. Then as a dictatorship, will they take, what other actions will they take? Maybe they will take away more liberties. And this is, like I said, I like your opinions, your take on this. And I know where this would fall. Conservatives would agree with me. People on the left would say, no, this is restricting liberties. I don't know. But anyways, I was going to say next, Biden is like, well, we have in this country too, talking about, oh, he said foreign delinquents out. That's a country in part countries Latin America as well, in Argentina, my mother's country as well. There are people on the dole there. There are people receiving what he called plans. Plan for this, plan for that. Financial aid coming from Bolivia, coming from Peru, coming from Venezuela especially, and other nations. Here, talking about Latinos, Hispanics who may be coming here. As we know, across the border here in California, from Mexico into California, into Texas, into Arizona, into New Mexico. They are coming in. They're coming in freely. Many of them COVID positive, sick with other illnesses, and nothing. Meanwhile, the president and the government wrestles with the rest of us, with citizens, concerning masking up or not masking up, forcing us to get vaccinations. But those coming across the border, it's a free-for-all. Come on in. Any Cubans, as President Biden has addressed Cubans who may be thinking about coming here on rafts, on dinghies, on little boats as they have in the past, basically giving them the finger, saying, you're not coming in. You're going back. You're going to live in Cuba. You're going to suffer with it. You're going to deal with it. You're not coming here. What's the difference? Most Latinos tend to vote Democrat. And it's been argued that in allowing them to come in, most across the border from Mexico, that they are future Democrat voters. Those who argue would say that point would further say why are they doing that is to build a future permanent Democrat base. What is it about Cubans in this country? Cuban Americans, they tend to vote Republican. That's why they're not welcome at all. There's hypocrisy going on all over the place. Anyways, back to Peru. Concluding with Peru, once again, I wish my father's country, the country of my blood, half of my ancestry, all the best. Congratulations. A happy Independence Day. Who knows where this new president, if he indeed is communist, maybe he will show different colors. He will show himself to be more democratic than everyone thought. One can hope and pray. I commit the nation to God. As God knows, I commit this nation to him. But the leanings of Latin America, now America too, toward socialism, toward communism, which just does not belong. Communism is never the answer. Well, we hope and pray for the best. The story gets more interesting. Is Peru one more domino? Thank you for watching. I love your comments, your likes. I hope you subscribe. Thank you very much.